me start with this. Wuhan opened its shopping district yesterday. That is good news. That is a city of about 11 million people. For perspective there, New York City has about 8 million people, right? So we know that something worked over there for the last 2 months. People are very much excited about going back into the streets and shopping. Now, whether or not this lasts is also a very big deal, because right now we're trying to figure out how we should go about it as we brace for at least 30 days of shelter at home, stay at home, and we continue to try to ride out this very weird and scary time. But for sports, that means that folks are really trying to find out the best way possible to stay in shape. And that means for us that can't go to the gym for reasons that have to do with sweat, quite literally, if you sweat on gym equipment, if you sweat near someone else, they can contract the virus. It can live on plastic. It can live on steel. It can live on metal. So the gyms are closed. So we are having to create our own gyms. And you've seen this proliferation of people going to Lowe's or Home Depot or your favorite hardware store to try to find buckets, to try to find pieces of wood, try to find bricks, to old school it, to Scottish Games it. But we're also seeing some athletes with the look at me and what I'm doing, which is the same as it's always been, quite honestly. Like, I actually get on my friend Jerry Ostroski's nerves because I'm always shouting him down when he has something to say about a millennial who is running stadium steps and working out at his home gym and letting everybody know about it. His name is Cam Newton. Cam Newton wants to be on his revenge tour as he was released by the Carolina Panthers. This is an MVP. This is a player that had taken them to the Super Bowl. This is a player who has not been himself since that Super Bowl season. As a matter of fact, he and Tyrod Taylor both played 46 games. Tyrod Taylor has a better record than Cam Newton. Cam Newton's 2020-23 as a starter, a perfect 500, while Tyrod 24-21 with a tie. Tyrod also has this ability about him that is one Cam Newton has not picked up, which is I don't draw in distractions. I distribute the football, I get out of the way. I kept the seat warm for Baker Mayfield. Thought I was doing a pretty good job. I was a Pro Bowl quarterback with the Buffalo Bills when they had nothing and nobody. There's a reason why Anthony Lynn liked him. It's because he knew about him, Buffalo, and they feel like they have pieces around where they can start to ride, and if they take a quarterback like many people think that they will in the NFL draft, they're going to be okay. Meanwhile, Cam Newton is still yelling about who he is and what he's going to do. While we all think that the Chargers might be a good fit for him, they obviously don't right now. I think Jacksonville should be in play. But I'm also looking around at you. I'm looking around at what we're doing. I'm looking around to see what recruits are doing their best to stay on their game. Miles Slusher last week is tweeting about, where can I work out? Maybe you have a place for him to go. Andrew Rain is thinking about, where can I work out? Where do you have to go? And then I come across the Twitters as I usually am, and I'm reading the comments and I'm texting with kiddos, and I see Owen Ostroski is in his garage lifting. I see Owen Ostroski is doing walking lunges in his living room. Kid is all muscle and all meat and looks very much like he is about his business. And this was the first time that I actually been able to see what this might look like for some of these kiddos. Because one of the things you always want to know is, how hard are they working? How much do they want this? Are they all in on football? And if you're talking about kids like Ostroski, who has offers in hand from not just Hawaii, but Navy and Army, you're getting a window into their minds. You're getting a window into what kind of a football player might end up at the school you most want him to end up at. Some kids are playing video games, and that's fine. I mean, we all have our downtime. Some of them are really just trying to take these phone calls from these coaches and figure out who gives them love and who does not. Ostroski is not that kind of kid. Owen's as humble as they come, right? He has a hard time just stumping for himself. But when you see him working, you feel good about that. When you see the lengths for which his family's going so that he can work, You feel good about that. At this time when social distancing is at an all-time high, as many of us have made jokes about being antisocial, finding ways to do this and do this responsibly is one of the hardest things to do right now. As a matter of fact, I was listening around the country just trying to take in stuff, and I come across a host that says, I'm working from home and it's weird and I would much rather that it, was behind my big branded studio. And I'm going, wait a second. I work from home all the time. Wait a second. When did this become an impediment? When did this become weird? When did this become the thing for which you're going to say, I can't really operate? You're going to learn who is creative. You're going to learn who is imaginative. You're going to learn who wants it, who was going to do this regardless, who was going to find a way to get it done at a time when so many have a hard time just figuring out how to get it done in this age where it's put up or shut up, where it's quite literally you either want to do this or you don't. Remember the folks that want to do this. Remember the folks that were saying, look at me. Remember the folks who were in their garage, old schooling it. There's a difference between Cam Newton, Baker Mayfield, and Owen Ostroski. Cam Newton wants everybody to know what he's doing. Baker Mayfield is a former walk-on who has ascended and still has something to prove in the NFL, by the way. Ostroski's a kid just trying to get it done. And that's where we are right now. I submit to you, one guy ain't from here, one guy's from Texas, and one guy's from Tulsa. There's a reason why the race is called Tulsa Tough. There's a reason why Oklahoma has a backbone. We know what boom is. We know what bust is. The Dust Bowl was here. So was the 47-game win streak. Carry that pride with you. Carry that with you when you talk about the kids. Carry that with you when you talk about football when it returns. Come back. Mayberry and I are going to chop it up about the NCAA choosing to allow spring sports to give their kids another year of eligibility, but in doing so, they're going to make the schools the bad guy. You're listening to the RJ Young Show on your home for sports, the sports animal.